and you just feel something is off. Something's like, I'm not feeling actually happy or fulfilled, but I'm a devotee. Why is that?
Yeah.
It's because you're not actually putting Krishna in the center of your life enough, actually. And that's what the Bhagavatam does. It's very direct.
Yeah.
And that's also why it can be quite challenging as well.
For sure.
Even though it can really be relieving, it can be challenging because it's like, well, am I ready to hit?
Welcome to the Welsh Yogi podcast.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Welsh Yogi podcast. This is episode 101, and we're joined by the head of the Brahmachari ashram, Koladvipa-pati.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome on board, sir.
Hare Krishna.
How's your new year been so far?
It's been good. It's been, what have we been doing? I mean, I've just been kind of easing my way back into Sankirtan after being away for Christmas and just the marathon, the intensity of, loss of book distribution, loss of service, and, sleeping schedule a bit different. But now it's kind of getting back into that routine, getting back into a nice kind of routine of good sadhana. And not that I wasn't doing that during the marathon, but it's just kind of refocusing, kind of balancing. And what was that noise? The gods don't want us. They don't want us to have. Keep going.
I think that sound is actually the sound of the altar being built.
Oh,
yeah. So it's an
wow.
auspicious sound. It confused me for a moment there.
Yeah, that probably is.
We have Vishwambara over here, and he's building the altar, and the altar is literally just, I don't know.
It's literally,
5 meters, 5 meters away. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, that's really cool. It's that you're refinding your routine. After a bit more of a, because if anyone doesn't know, the marathon, the monks from the temple, they go out and it can be a really intense experience of they're trying to give Krishna consciousness to other people, and they go out to unusual places, you hit the pubs up in the evenings, and the schedule gets turned on its head a lot. So and same for me. It's getting this regulation back on track for the new year has been really effective for me. Krishna even says that you got no hope of controlling your mind if you're not regulated, in your eating, sleeping, recreation, and so on. So yeah, for me, since the new year started, just reading Srimad Bhagavatam, which is if anyone doesn't know what that book is, it's right behind us. There's a really long, massive book here, and how would you describe the Bhagavatam? Because I know you distribute Bhagavatams on the street to people. What would you say to me if I went?
Try to.
Hey, Koladvi, what's this book?
Yeah,
Actually, I'll give you this as a prop.
I'm quite out of practice, but I keep it simple on the street. Keep it simple. Something from that. My spiritual master always said, reading the books will give you the enthusiasm to distribute them. So I don't necessarily have a mechanical formula of how I do it, but I do have some kind of a little bit of structure, and then it's mainly from the prayer, and just present it as it is, and hey, you read a little bit, read a lot, okay, cool, check this out. This is the Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is the essence of all spiritual wisdom from India. It's I'm a bit rusty now, but the Bhagavatam was only recently translated about 60, 70 years ago by my spiritual teacher, Srila Prabhupada, and it was his life's work to translate this, and it reveals all the most intimate, most deepest truths about life, who we are, what the absolute truth is, how to connect to it. And it's got the most amazing stories which help, about spiritual teachers, spiritual seekers, and how they overcame obstacles in their journey. So yeah, I think you'd really like this book. It's not just one book. Have a look. Look, it's 18 books.
Thousands of books.
How long do you think it would take for you to read that?
1 year.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But yeah, it's so wonderful. And
what stood up to me there from that presentation though is you said it's filled with stories.
Oh yeah.
And I feel that's what we're all craving for, is a good story.
Exactly.
If something cool happened to you and you're you can't wait to tell someone, look at this, And yeah, like for me, my New Year's resolution, you could say, is to just do a set amount of pages of reading every day. Like there's this saying that be a sage page by page, isn't it? Like there's an app and you can calculate how many pages it takes to complete the book in how long, So 41 pages a day gets you the Bhagavatam finished in a year, which is ambitious.
And what is it? If you Prabhupada says if you read the whole Srimad Bhagavatam, by the end of it, you'll be a God-realized, soul.
There we are then.
Obviously, like it's, like there's reading it and understanding it, that's like, but you get so much benefit for, just reading it once, twice, let alone twice, three, I mean, once you've read it once, you want to keep There was that devotee in the manor. Can't remember his name now, but he's a great scholar actually, and he was explaining how he had insomnia, and do you remember that?
No.
Anyway, maybe you weren't there, but he was saying how like he was living in India, I believe, if I've not mistaken, but he had insomnia, and then he was like trying to find how he could cure this insomnia. Someone recommended you read these books, because sometimes devotees read the books and they feel really sleepy. The modes kind of like kind of overcome them. But anyway, he started reading Srimad Bhagavatam, and then he was like, I don't know what's happening, like he was just staying awake even more, like all night, because he was finding so much value, so much kind of nourishment and wisdom and happiness just from reading it. It's actually so enlivening. Like what's in the Bhagavatam.
Yeah, it's been a cool experience for me as well, because you sit down and read this book. It's full of Sanskrit and like all of these terms that you may not have heard of. I mean, I was in the ashram for 5 years, and even now I'm reading it, I'm like, this doesn't really make much sense to me. But just reading through, just having a goal and reading, and just, especially I read out loud to myself. Maybe you don't understand everything, but it still has an effect on you. Like it still changes the way that you're seeing the world. And at least for me, just reading this now every day, it's like all of the little bad habits that easily creep in, they become less attractive. It's like, I don't really want to waste my time doing that, or I don't want to have that food because it will mess me up, or whatever it is. It's like, I just found it miraculous.
It is amazing. I'm so grateful to the daily reading sessions that we used to attend. And like reading the Bhagavatam, it nourishes you spiritually. Like you said, even if you don't fully understand everything, especially when you read it out loud, you're sending this spiritual vibration into the ether, and it's actually very tangible. And if you do try and understand it, it really does fortify your intelligence. You start to be able to make the right decision and not the wrong decision, and you start to kind of develop a real taste for hearing about Krishna, which is really the real real kind of juice in life, the real kind of goal of life as well.
And it transports, at least for me, for some reason I got like a very visual brain. So like you hear about the setting, the very beginning of the Bhagavatam, they're in this place called Naimisharanya. There's like all of these different sages, and it's early in the morning, and they're putting their ghee on the fire sacrifices, and it's like this very peaceful scene in the forest, and Prabhupada says that the forest of Naimisharanya, if the whole universe was like a wheel, and all of the wheel would be revolving around this forest, like this forest is the center of that wheel.
That's really cool.
So you've got like this mystical scene full of sages doing their offerings early in the morning, and then the head kind of sage or seer, or however you want to describe him, his name is Sutta Goswami, and he comes and he takes his seat on the speaker's seat, and they all come around and they sit down to listen of this like epic tale of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And like it's really interesting because like that period of time is when I've been reading it also. Like wake up early in the morning, like the sun's still rising, the air is still, and you sort of come there and just like receive this message from the lips of these ancient sages. I tell you, if you can actually get into the habit of trying to do that, it doesn't take more than 20 minutes and you've kind of completely forgotten your worldly worries. Like you're in the spiritual world again. And it's just like, it's amazing. And that's why even at the temple, we have our Bhagavatam class in the morning, is because the morning is the best time for kind of experiencing spirituality, like legit, like.
Yeah.
But it's been good. I've just read about Narada Muni, and there's Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva is he's like a, what would you call him? Like a sage or a.
Yeah, he's a sage.
Like a Vedic scholar.
Yeah.
They say he's the literary incarnation of Krishna also. But basically Vyasadeva, he was responsible for like splitting the Vedas so that they'd be more understandable. So there was originally one Veda, which is like these ancient Sanskrit texts. And Vyasadeva, he split them into 4. There's the Rig, Sama, Yajna, and Atharva Veda. And also the Mahabharata, which was for people that were maybe less scholarly and less learned. It was the histories of India, which was kind of leading you to the point of the Bhagavad Gita being spoken, in which Krishna gave the message. Anyway, Vyasadeva, he'd done all this work in reordering the Vedas so that people could understand it more effectively.
And compiling it, like putting in written format. Before, it was spoken.
Really?
Before it was, and that's quite inconceivable to think that previously people had such great levels of consciousness that they could memorize these, scriptures back to front, verbatim, and not get it wrong. Like it would be intact. But Vyasadeva could understand that, okay, as time progresses, the kind of lower modes of nature, there's going to be more ignorance in the world. People are going to be less able to remember things. People's consciousness becomes degraded. So therefore, he actually wrote it down so that people who didn't have sharp memories and who weren't like first-class brahmanas, they could have access to it. Talk about welfare work for people. This is so powerful to actually write down these teachings and want to share it with even just like the common people of the world. But I think as what you're going to explain is
he's just like sat there, he's super dissatisfied, and he hears like the sound of a veena, like a veena is like this mystical guitar. And then, like almost like out of nowhere, spawns Narada Muni. He's like this mystical spaceman who travels around using the sound of his guitar. Like he's so in touch with like the subtle realm that he can travel through sound completely freely. And he appears, and basically they have a conversation. And Vyasadev's like, "Look, I've done all this stuff, and I feel completely dissatisfied."
Yeah.
And like Narada Muni is just he comes out. This is in the first book which we sell on the street, the Srimad Bhagavatam. He comes out and just drops complete knowledge, and it's like, we were speaking. I mean, I don't know if it was even recording when we were talking about it, but like he basically said, look, the reason you're feeling dissatisfaction is because in all of this endeavor, you've actually neglected to glorify Krishna properly. You haven't given people the real.
Yeah, the real essence. Yeah, the real essence of the medicine. Yeah, so he did he did such great work by compiling the Vedas, but he missed out such an important aspect of it, or not even that he missed out, but he didn't actually put it in its like in the right focus. And that is that the real glories of Krishna and who Krishna is. As a central kind of like aspect or feature of the Vedas, which is interesting because in the Vedas, Krishna is always talked about as like being the source of everything, but there's also like it can be quite confusing for people to understand because the Vedas is so big, and there's also different kind of like teachings for different types of people as well. So it kind of get lost in all of that, but the Bhagavatam is the real kind of what's the word, like
that's the
answer.
It's like it's basically giving you the essence of the Vedas. Like Vedanta means the end of knowledge, and this is the natural commentary on Vedanta. So it's like it gives you Vedanta, or the end goal of life, but with in a succinct way, and it's all in stories that we can understand. Like Vyasadeva is well trained to give it to people that are a bit stupid, because before we should have just been able to hear this knowledge and remembered it. So he knows how to speak to us. So he's compiled the Bhagavatam, and you can experience it. It's like even just me hearing about Narada having that conversation with Vyasadeva, I can see in my life, it's like, oh, the reason I feel dissatisfied in my worldly situation or whatever, is because I failed to like connect it all to Krishna.
Yeah.
Like I might have, worked on my career to this extent. My health and fitness might be getting better, whatever. Like I even might be chanting my rounds, but I'm not really connecting them to Krishna. And then it's like just hearing that, it's like, oh.
Yeah. As you were saying that, I was just thinking, it's such a relief.
Yeah.
It's such a relief, because it's going to the root of the kind of whole, problem or perplexity that we experience. If you have a disease and you just treat the external symptoms, but you don't deal with the root of it, it's just going to keep coming back.
Yeah.
I don't know if think of it, if you're like, I got a bacterial infection in my foot.
That's a nicer way to say it.
Yeah. But it's all swollen.
Okay, yeah.
I can deal with this. I can try and deal with the symptoms, and that's good. But if I don't get to the root of it, the reason why it started to get infected, because anyway, maybe we can cut this bit out. There's bad example, but there's examples like, if you have an infection, you need to get to the root of the infection and then deal with that. Otherwise you'll keep getting reinfected. That's the point. And anyway, so the same thing with the Srimad Bhagavatam, why is it, we're trying so hard for happiness materially, or even, we are a devotee and we're practicing Krishna consciousness, but we haven't put Krishna in the center, as much as we should have, or we sometimes that can happen. Yeah. And you just feel something is off. Something's like, I'm not feeling actually happy, or fulfilled, but I'm a devotee. Why is that? Yeah. It's because you're not actually putting Krishna in the center of your life enough, actually. And that's what the Bhagavatam does. It's very direct. Yeah. And that's also why it can be quite challenging as well. For sure. Even though it can really be relieving, it can be challenging, because it's like, well, am I ready to hear? It depends how submissive we are to receive the message. If we're not submissive, but if we're challenging, then we're kind of in essence, blocking ourselves from it. But still, if you just keep persevering and reading it, then you're actually dissolving that false ego. Yeah,
because that's what I like about having like a set number of days that you're going for. Like make it really like, okay, I'm not feeling it today, but I'm just going to go through the words. And I'll just move through it. Because before it's like, I'm not feeling it today. And then the next day, I'm not feeling it today. And the next day, I'm not feeling it today. 2 months you haven't read. You haven't even... So it's like having a little goal where it's like, I don't care how I feel. I'm going to read 10 pages or 5 pages or 1 verse or whatever it is. And the cool thing is that this was like the conversation between Narada and Vyasadeva is like the instruction which spawned the Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad Bhagavatam speaking. So actually that instruction is interlaced throughout all of the Bhagavatam. It's like, oh yeah, connect it back to Krishna. Oh yeah, connect it back to Krishna. It's like constant course correction, and it's done through the medium of stories. So it's exciting, it's fun. It's not just like, surrender to Krishna, surrender to Krishna. It's like quite subtle. It kind of tricks your mind into surrendering to Krishna, which is actually what will make you happy, and actually what will make you free, which is interesting. I wanted to actually ask you about something that I read, just as so this is just at the end of that conversation between Vyasadeva and Narada Muni, and let me find it. I think it's the very last verse, but I thought it was quite interesting, so maybe I'll read it. So it's text 37 of chapter 6. And it's the way that Narada Muni leaves the scene, okay? So thus, Sutta Goswami said, thus addressing Vyasadeva, Srila Narada Muni took leave of him, and vibrating on his Veena instrument, he left to wander at his free will. Purport: every living being is anxious for full freedom, because that is his transcendental nature, and this freedom is obtained only through the transcendental service of the Lord. Illusioned by the external energy, everyone thinks that he is free, but actually is bound up by the laws of nature. A conditioned soul cannot freely move from one place to another, even on this earth, and what to speak of one planet to another. But a full-fledged free soul like Narada always engages in chanting the Lord's glories and is free to move not only on earth, but also in any part of the universe, as well as in any part of the spiritual sky. We can just imagine the extent and unlimitedness of his freedom, which is as good as that of the Supreme Lord. There is no reason or obligation for his travelling, and no one can stop him from his free movements. Similarly, the transcendental system of devotional service is also free. It may or may not develop in a particular person even after he undergoes all the detailed formulas. Similarly, the association of a devotee is also free. One may be fortunate to have it, or one may not have it after thousands of endeavours. Therefore, in all spheres of devotional service, freedom is the main pivot. Without freedom, there is no execution of devotional service. The freedom surrendered to the Lord does not mean that the devotee has become dependent in every respect. To surrender unto the Lord through the transparent medium of the spiritual master is to obtain complete freedom of life. But that's what the reason I brought that one up is I wanted to ask you, because sometimes, with devotional service, we hear this, that it's like the ultimate freedom for the living soul. But you approach devotional service and it seems like there's a lot more restrictions than you had before. So it's like, how is it that by having these restrictions, I'm becoming free? Whereas if I don't have restrictions, I'm free to do as I will. I can, Do you have any insight on that one? Put you on the spot.
Regulative principles of freedom. That's what Prabhupada calls them. Yeah, I mean, like, just what comes to mind. These kind of principles that devotees follow, because like Krishna consciousness is a science. It's like meaning that if you act in a particular way, you get a certain result. So these principles that one follows, that chanting 16 rounds, 4 regs, they're meant to actually fine-tune our consciousness so that we can actually experience, higher level of pleasure, more freedom actually. Because we're thinking that we'll get pleasure materially, but that's not real freedom. We don't actually, material things, they have a, anyway, there's a crap answer, by the way. We might have to redo this again.
No.
But hold on. Anyway, I kind of lost my flow. Can you say, what's the question again? The question was...
I'm just saying, like, okay, devotional service gives you freedom.
Okay.
Like, but there's so many rules when you start, like, practicing it.
Yeah.
How is that actual freedom? Like...
Well, yeah, you need to know the difference between you and your mind as well, isn't it? Like, the mind will say, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to eat the chocolate, but you're not your mind. And if you have higher intelligence and you realize, actually, if I eat the chocolate, then I'm going to, the sugar is not going to be bad for me, I'm going to put on weight, I might get diabetes or whatever, But, like in the very beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, like, he explains how, you're not the body, you're the soul. So like that's so important. That's like the first steps to understand. And then you realize, okay, I'm a soul, but I have a mind, I have an intelligence, and I have a body, I have all these things. And they're urging me to go in all these different directions. But if you can understand that it's not actually who you are as a soul, and if you can understand that as a soul, I am a servant of Krishna, my who I am, my identity is to actually be connected with the Supreme. Then that helps us understand what real freedom is. And then if we analyze, okay, well, what my mind is telling me to do, and what my body might be telling me to do, well, is that actually going to be beneficial for me as a soul, as my real identity? And and so these principles help us align with our soul, and not with the mind's desires, not with these material desires that we have, But Krishna consciousness is so amazing that it's not about repression. Like sometimes people say, if you practice celibacy or restriction from maybe like vegetarian, you're not eating meat. Well, it's not repression. there's a higher engagement to do, and so, instead of like, like instead of using sexual energy, to kind of, to have children, or just to try and enjoy your senses, you're using that energy to help others. You can transfer it into devotional service. And if actually done rightly, then you won't be disturbed. You won't be repressing. You're using that energy for a greater good. Similarly, like, okay, eating meat. Well, we have such amazing prasadam, food that is, vegetarian, has been offered to Krishna. And when you try that, then you don't actually think about, ever wanting to eat meat again. And actually, then when you're in a situation where people are eating meat, you're thinking, you actually see it for what it is. You see it as like, actually, this is a bit weird, you're open, anyway, what's we don't need to get into but it's,
corpse, you can get into it if you want.
Well, yeah, you're like, Gopal is, stuffing a corpse, like, right up the arse, like, in Christmas, like, up the turkey's bottom, with all these things, and everyone's sitting around the table thinking, like, oh, it looks really delicious. But if you just look at what you're doing, it's like, actually, that's abnormal. But we've grown up around that so much that we think it's normal. That's the point of Kali Yuga. Everything's topsy-turvy. So we're like, it's a confusing and atmosphere that we live in. So these like principles, regulative principles, are principles of freedom. They're meant to free the mind from material desires, material attachments, but not just leave it at that, but they're meant to actually help you develop a loving relationship with Krishna. So that's the real substance of it. It's meant to lead you to actually connecting to the soul, to connecting to the supreme soul in a loving relationship. So that wasn't a very good answer, but there was,
it wasn't bad. There was definitely stuff in there that makes sense. Like, because I like the point that you made. Basically, is when you're engaging in the higher thing, then you actually become freed from the desire for the lower.
Param Dushra Nivartante.
Exactly.
Yeah. Bhagavad Gita 259.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, that's the point, isn't it? It's because like we think, oh yeah, I'm free to enjoy. I go to the pub on the weekend. Yeah. But most of us deep down know that thing is entrapping us. Yeah. It's like what Bob Marley sung, isn't it? Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. It's like we're slaves of our mind and our senses, and we're like, I want, I need, if I get a bit more money, I'll be happy. And then you get the money and you're like, oh, I'm still miserable.
Yeah, who is I? You don't even know who you are, but you're saying I will be happy. It's like, it's just about, when you're in it, it's like.
And that's the thing, I can speak from experience. Like I did full on like try to surrender to Krishna a lot. I had that experience of just like lifting myself above my conditioning and just being like happy in service. And I went and experimented with some so-called material freedoms, and I end up just like exactly where I was before, depressed and sad and unhappy. And it's like, oh wait a sec, this is horrible. This actually sucks. Like maybe I should pick the Bhagavatam up again and read it. And then just from reading it, it's like, oh, this is really. This is the movie, like this is the, whatever you want to waste your time doing, this is where it is, like, but it's easy. It's an everyday attempt, an everyday effort to surrender. You can't just like,
but that's the point, that's the whole point, that it's like, it's an everyday effort. Prabhupada would say it's like a labor of love. Anything that's worthwhile, takes effort, and that's also what a relationship means, it means like, you got to do your part. You got to show up. You got to actually make an effort, because that effort is you expressing your desire, your freedom, that you want to connect to Krishna. So Krishna reciprocates with that.
Definitely, yeah.
So and that's the real beauty of it. Is it's not that Krishna forces you to surrender. Yeah. He doesn't, like he says, what does he say in the Bhagavad Gita? Now I've told you this knowledge, Arjuna. Yeah. Now do with it what you wish to do. It's in your hands. Yeah. So
it's nice. It's true. It's cool. And you just remind me there when Taknath used to say you don't want to read. He said if you don't want to read, then want to read.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to read, then want to read. So it's like, you might be listening to the podcast and be like, it's true, but I don't really want to read the book, or I don't want to chant the rounds. That's fine. At least want to. Yeah. And then maybe one day you will want to. You know, it's literally like, because I felt like I was trapped by my just conditioning for the past maybe 3 or 4 months. And in my head, I'm like, I just really want to get back into the Bhagavatam. I just really want to get back to the Bhagavatam. I just really want to get to the Bhagavatam. And then the 1st of January came and it lined up. And it's like, okay, now we're back in. And now I don't want to let it go again. That's the thing. Once you start and once you push through that initial inertia, then it's like, you know, you can't think of not reading. It's like, you feel like it gives you so much nourishment, so much kind of energy, and, you know. Yeah. For sure. It's powerful. Just go for it. Like, you could just do, okay, I do 10 pages a day. Yeah. Then by 2030, you'll have finished it. It's not that far. But that's the thing. It's like, just start on the first canto, because the first canto is so juicy, delicious. Like, it's so good. It's like, actually, one of the first verses, it says that the Bhagavatam is like a fruit, a juicy mango, which has no skin and no stone. So it's just like that juicy, fleshy mango with none of the bad stuff. Like, it's just like, and that is what it's like, is, you know, it's tasty. But you just got to try and wrestle through that kind of. Yeah, I remember the first, like, kind of few years of reading the Bhagavatam. And, you know, in the beginning, it can be a bit of a struggle. Yeah. It can be like, you read and then you just like, you know, you're falling asleep or whatever. Yeah. But it's okay, you know. It's, you know, even then, you know, you'll find that there's a lot of value in it. And then if you just keep going, you know, day by day, reading, then you will start to really appreciate just how wonderful it is. Prabhupada said, you know, he put his devotional ecstasies in there. There's so many jewels, so many, like, you know, precious gems that are in the Srimad Bhagavatam that you can uncover. It's like, it's a real kind of, you know, never-ending adventure, never-ending kind of, you know, I was actually giving class the other day, and I was speaking about how, you know, topics of Krishna are ever fresh. And it was really interesting because Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami basically recapitulates the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and he says, you know, that, you know, he's doing it so he can relish it again, just like how Vyasadeva did in the end of the Srimad Bhagavatam. You know, this point of like repeatedly hearing is, you know, it doesn't actually get stale, it doesn't get hackneyed, it doesn't get like, you know, like it doesn't run out of juice, basically. And in a purport, I believe, to the 4th canto, 30th chapter, hopefully I got this right, 30-20. Will be, if you don't get that right, you're gonna have a lot of comments. A lot of comments. We need a new ashram leader. But I might have mixed it up. But it explains the dynamic of what's happening, and it explains how that the super soul that is within your heart, basically Krishna as a super soul within your heart, he makes the experience ever fresh. You know, he creates that for you. And in the purport, Prabhupada explains how, you know, I think it's that purport, but how like devotees will repeatedly hear and get ever new kind of realizations, even though they're reading the same thing. They see it in a new light of vision, new angle of vision, and it's and it's just amazing. It's amazing. I heard, like, if you look at it from a mundane perspective, it looks like you're just going around in circles. But the spiritual perspective is from the side, and you're just going in a spiral, going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's cool. So from one angle, it looks like, you're just reading the same book all the time. Like, why are you always reading the Bhagavad Gita? It's like, it's not the same book. Like, no man reads the same no man reads the same Bhagavatam twice, because he's never the same man, and it's never the same Bhagavatam. You know what I'm saying? There's like a Buddhist saying that says, no man walks through the same river twice, because it's never the same river, and he's not the same man. And it's the same with the Bhagavatam. Yeah. That's a river to be always frolicking in daily. But no, it's an interesting point. I think it's important. I had spoken to Gopal about maybe doing some kind of daily reading setup in the new Ty Krishna when it opens. That'd be cool. So we could just come together as a community and read together. So if anyone's interested in that type of thing, where we have a daily reading or maybe a few days a week reading, leave a message in the comments. Please engage with the video and like it, subscribe it, and share it, because we do want to blow up the podcast. We want some engagement and some feedback that what we're doing is right, and any suggestions you have, isn't it? Because that's what I mean, is we're using all these technologies to give people that message. Actually, the thing that will make you happy is if you put Krishna back in the frame of your life, ideally in the center. You know what I'm saying? And then you'll be a bit more happier, rather than making it all about you. So thanks for coming on, Koladvipa. God bless you.
Thank you, my friend.
And we'll see you again next time, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami